Tyler and his date Margot are waiting on a dock for a boat to take them to an island, where they will dine at Hawthorne, an exclusive restaurant operated by the best chef. When the boat arrives, they are surprised to see how many important guests will dine with them. There's Lillian Bloom, a food critic. Restaurants rise and fall based on her reviews, and her husband, Ted. The three tech brothers who are rowdy, all bragging about their expertise on hedge funds and cryptocurrency. And a movie star with his assistant, Felicity. The ones that gets Margot's attention are Richard and his wife Anne, because Margot knows Richard and she doesn't want him to know she is there. Everyone is given a small bite to start the journey, along with champagne. Tyler is quick to take a picture and describes it in a hoity-toity way. Margot is unenthused. The boat arrives on the island, and everyone deboards and is greeted by Elsa. She tells Tyler that Margot is not who he had originally signed up to attend with, but he has broken up with his girlfriend and is bringing her instead. This unnerves Elsa. The guests get a tour of the island. Elsa explains that the chef holds himself to the highest possible standard and they have the honor of working at Hawthorne. That is why they live there. The chef lives there as well, but his house is off limits. After the tour, they all enter the restaurant. There is an open kitchen behind all the tables where the staff is hard at work. There is a sad old woman drinking at a table in the back. Elsa tells the guests to not photograph the dishes. Part of the beauty of the chef creations is precisely their ephemeral nature. Tyler wants to see the kitchen to talk to the sous chef, and brags about all his foodie knowledge. The sous chef knows Tyler by name and says everyone on staff knows all about those who dine with them. Chef Slowick appears in the kitchen. He's brooding intense and takes a look at Margot. Tyler takes a photo of the appetizer. He is ravished, but Margot isn't as impressed. Chef Slowick introduces himself by clapping with his hands and tells the group tonight they will ingest entire ecosystems. He asks if they will do him a favor and not eat but taste. The group is given the first course, called the Island. Tyler makes a comment about the food and gets scolded by Chef Slowick. Tyler begins crying, touched at the dish being beautiful. Margot is dismissive and doesn't want to eat any of it. She is skeptical about the restaurant. For the second course, Slowick claps again. He gives a speech about how bread has existed for 12,000 years and is usually common among the poor. He then talks about how the group there is not the common man, so tonight they get no bread. Instead, everyone is given shale plates with just the condiments. A title reads, Breadless Bread Plate. Lillian Bloom complains that the emulsion on one of the sauces is broken, while her husband concurs. Tyler snaps another photo of the food. Margot doesn't understand why he's so into it. Back at Lillian's table, Elsa brings a larger container of the broken emulsion that Lillian complained about, courtesy of Chef Slowick. The Tech brothers complain that they understand all the conceptual stuff but they would like some bread. Elsa tells them, no. One of the Tech brothers is offended and says, you know who we are, right? Elsa says, yes. She leans in and whispers to one, you will eat less than you desire and more than you deserve. And points out to Richard that Margot looks like their daughter. The chef comes over and asks Margot why she isn't eating. Please eat. Margot tells him, thank you, but I'll eat what I want to eat. The chef half smiles and walks away. With another clap, the chef presents the next course, called Memory. He tells the group a memory and points to the old woman. It is his mother. She used to be quite drunk when he was a child. His parents fought and his father wrapped a telephone cord around his mom's neck. To get him to stop, the chef as a child stabbed him with kitchen scissors. The group is then given the course, Memory. They're all given a small chicken thighs with tiny scissors sticking out of them, along with the telephone cords and bowls of tortillas. The tortillas all have images on them. Lillian notices hers have restaurants that were all closed after she gave bad reviews. The Tech brothers seize document that exposed them for committing fraud. They call Elsa over and ask what they are. She responds, these are tortillas. The Tech demand she explain the images and she tells them. Elsa says, I'm sorry, but chef never reveals his recipes. The movie star's tortillas are all the poster of a goofy movie he did a long time ago. Anne sees pictures of Richard with a young female escort on a date. He convinces her it was photoshopped. At Tyler's table, the tortillas are pictures of him trying to snap photos of his meals. He is worried the chef is mad at him. Margot finds it offensive and wants to send it back, but Tyler snapped his fingers at her. Margot is offended by that and gets up to leave. She heads to a hallway, but Elsa appears and asks if she needs help. Margot says she's looking for the ladies' room. Inside the ladies' room, Margot smokes a cigarette on top of a toilet. A pair of angel wings are being prepared on the lawn. The chef enters the bathroom and asks Margot what she's doing there, that she is not supposed to be here. Margot was a last-minute replacement and he wants to know if she's one of them or one of us. He leaves, confusing Margot. When she returns to her table. For the next course, two servers unroll a tarp with decorations on the floor. Oops. The chef goes to introducing his sous chef, Jeremy. Slowick explains that Jeremy is talented and very good, but he's not great and never will be. Isn't that right, Jeremy? Jeremy responds, yes, chef. His entire life is service and pressure to put out the best food in the world, please his chef, please the customers, please the critics. And even when the food is perfect, there is no way to avoid the mess. Chef asks, do you like my life, the life you envy? Crying, Jeremy says, no, chef. Chef tells the group. Ladies and gentlemen, your fourth course. Sous chef Jeremy's mess. Chef takes a step back. Jeremy removes a pistol from his waistband and blows his brains out. Everyone is panicking. Richard gets up to leave and tries to push past two servers holding meat cleavers. Elsa orders the servers to cut off Richard's left ring finger. She tells the room if anyone tries to leave, they will lose an appendage. Lillian Bloom is convinced this is a stunt for her benefit. Elsa asks Margot to join the chef in the kitchen. Chef asks if she is with us or them. She asks, if I answer you, will I get to live? And the chef says, no, we're all going to die tonight. He gives her a kitchen timer and says she has 15 minutes to decide. Margot goes back to her table. Tyler is jealous she got a kitchen course. Chef returns and tells everyone, are there any questions about me, or why none of us are getting out of here alive tonight? Tyler asks a stupid question about the food. The movie star asks why this was happening. The chef says some of them were chosen because of what they've done or were complacent bystanders. He points out that Lillian Bloom's reviews damaged many chefs' livelihoods. Margot asks, why do you deserve to die? The chef responds, I deserve to die because I've wasted my life. I thought I was an artist, but instead I see I've been slavishly trying to please people who can never be pleased. He points out that Richard and Anne have been there many times and asks them to name a single thing they ate the last they were there. Richard can't think of anything. The Tech brothers interject that it's not his restaurant, Doug Varick is the owner. Chef confirms that Doug Varick owns both the restaurant and him. Through the glass window looking out to the lawn, a light is shown on a man, Doug Varick, wearing the angel wings we saw earlier. Held up by a pulley rope over the sea. He is slowly dropped into the sea, left to drown. Margot's timer goes off. She's brought back into Chef's office and asked if she made her decision. She reveals that she is an escort and since Tyler needed a date, he hired her to accompany him. She also notes that she knows Richard given he once hired her to dress up as his daughter while he jerked off. The chef thinks she should be with the staff as they're the people who have been subjugated, forgotten, starved. The group is brought outside for their next course. The chef introduces them to his sous chef Catherine, who will present the next dish. Catherine tells the crowd that Chef Slowick has flirted with her many times but she refused his advances. He didn't fire her but instead kept her in the kitchen and refused to look her in the eye. Catherine presents the next course called Humiliation. Catherine takes a small paring knife and stabs it into Chef Slowick's thigh. They then hug. The knife pulled from his thigh. The group is told that the men will be hunted and given a 45-second head start to hide. Some take off running. Others follow shortly after. At 45 seconds, all the male servers run into the woods, trying to find them. The women are led back inside the restaurant as the chase goes on. When the men are found, they're beaten and then brought back inside. Ted is the last man to be found and is given an extra dish as reward. The men return to the restaurant. The chef now points out, I'm afraid the night can't continue as planned until we deal with an unresolved matter. He addresses Tyler, who has been sending him letters for months. The chef explains why Tyler hasn't been shocked by that night's events as he's been told in advance that everyone was going to die. He invites him to make the next meal. Tyler is brought into the kitchen to make his own dish. He sloppily chops up leeks and shallots, which the chef sarcastically mocks. Tyler plates the dish. The chef tries it and playfully pretends to like it before pointing out how atrocious it is. Tyler feels ashamed. He is led to the back, in Chef's office, to be dealt with. The chef tells the guests they have one course left on the menu. But Elsa has been negligent and forgot to assign someone to bring a barrel. He tells Margot she will fetch the barrel, and asks whether or not she wants to die with them or us. On her way out, she sees Tyler, hanging by a noose, dead in the chef's office. Margot her way into the smokehouse. She quickly finds the barrel but first grabs the knife. In the restaurant, the movie star asks why is he being punished. The chef says he saw his movie on his one day off and didn't enjoy it. Margot enters the chef's cottage to find it's a replica of the restaurant's kitchen. In this one, there is also a silver door. She crosses to it but it's locked. Elsa appears in the cottage and tells her she is supposed to worry about the customers while the chef worries about the menu. They have a huge scuffle around the cottage with Margot using the knife she had pillaged. At the end, Elsa is stabbed to death. She tries to explain to Margot that she didn't neglect to move the barrel. Margot takes the key off Elsa and enters the silver room to find stacks of cookbooks and photos of the chef throughout his career, ending on a newspaper picture of him flipping burgers at a local restaurant. Seemingly happier than he is now. Margot notices a radio on the shelf and calls out for the Coast Guard. Back in the restaurant, Margot enters with the barrel. A small boat arrives and the Coast Guard makes his way to the restaurant. The chef admires Margot for having found the radio and orders the dining room be cleared. Chef Slowick tells the group that the man cannot help them, so there's no worth taking the risk. It'll just result in the death of an innocent man. The Coast Guard asks if anyone called in a distress signal on the shortwave, but Margot doesn't speak up. The officer turns to exit and then turns back around, pointing his gun at the chef. The room starts begging for help. The Coast Guard points his gun but then turns it to Margot, more specifically, the candle on Margot's table which the chef had put out. The gun is actually a lighter and he uses it to light the extinguished candle. The chef reveals he's one of them and then tells Margot he's decided she's now an eater like all the rest. The group is now told they're getting their final course. Chocolate is poured out on the floor. Margot shouts that she doesn't like the chef's food. And she wants to send it back. The chef comes to her table to apologize. She points out the food wasn't made with love. The chef is defensive and says love is the most important ingredient in all his food. He asks what she wants and she tells him a cheeseburger, not a fancy deconstructed Avant cheeseburger but a traditional one. The chef promises to make the best cheeseburger she's ever had. She asks how much and he says, $9.95. The chef cooks in the kitchen. The next meal is listed as cheeseburger. It's presented to Margot. She takes a bite. She agrees it's great, but explains her eyes are bigger than her stomach and wants the rest to go. The chef arranges for her to get a to-go bag. He thanks Margot for dining at Hawthorne. She puts $10 on the table and heads out to leave. She is free. In the restaurant, everyone is given the bill before the dessert is presented. Everyone pays the bill as normally. The chef tells everyone they're on a no-tip system, so gratuity is included. He tells them their final dessert course is a play on the traditional campfire classic, the S'more. He says it's the most boring of all desserts, but somehow Americans like it because it's set on fire. A coat made of marshmallows is placed on each guest. The floor is covered in chocolate sauce and graham cracker crumbs, and then the entire room is lit on fire. Outside, Margot gets to the Coast Guard's boat. Inside Hawthorne, everyone is on fire and all the staff and guests are dying. A title reads, Final Dessert Course, S'more. On the dock, Margot opens the to-go bag. She takes the cheeseburger and begins eating it. She reaches in and pulls out a replica of the menu they've had that night. She uses it to wipe her face as the restaurant explodes in flames, far away on the island. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching.